Strict compliance leads to a company screwing itself. Too long didn't read. A company's management doesn't like me because I am not politically correct and am too accurate predicting problems. So they reassign me and give others credit for my work. I turn a do-nothing assignment with a government customer into a way of helping them unravel the company's inaccurate status reporting and find the company's actual performance. The company gets hit hard with financial penalties. Managers leave, and I get hired by the customer, which results in even more bad news for my old management team. This is a bit long. There are elements of revenge here, but since I didn't have to do anything, I don't think it fits into any of the revenge subreddits. I worked for a major government contractor for a government agency. If I named the agency or location, it'd be pretty obvious to people with long memories and an axe to grind. I'd risen up through the ranks because I have good technical knowledge and I have a knack for seeing a big picture view of big projects and seeing potential problems. I was very good at what I did. Many managers didn't like me because I pointed out problem areas over 75% accuracy and I stated facts without regard for management politics. I didn't suck up. Some managers gave Fairhaired Boy a suck up credit for my work which I'd done before Fairhaired Boy was even working on the project. Then they desperately needed my technical expertise on a very large procurement, 8 digits. I wrote most of the technical specifications, identifying risk areas and the consequences of bad procurement decisions. Fairhaired Boy dismissed my arguments as no big deal and we can work around that, so management ignored me and ended up buying inadequate equipment. I was reassigned again and Fairhaired Boy was given what should have been my job with a promotion and big raise. My parting gift to the project managers was a detailed memo highlighting every technical problem that I foresaw in the development and how it could be avoided. It was a very long list of nearly 100 watch items, and they ended up hitting almost all of them. As usual, management ignored me due to company rules and a lot of prior excellent personal performance reviews. Management couldn't fire me immediately, but I could tell I was being set up for termination. I was assigned a job to work directly with the customer as liaison, actually sitting on the customer site. Management figured I'd be an irritant and distract the customer from the company's issues. In the meantime, I'd keep our company informed about what the customer was saying behind closed doors, and I was supposed to tell the customer what was management wanted me to say was happening in the company. Management intended it to be a do-nothing job to keep me out of sight, out of mind. I don't do nothing jobs. I took it seriously, but after a couple of months, management told me in no uncertain terms that I was not permitted to answer the customer's questions about what was going on inside the company on the project, and that I was not permitted to talk at internal company meetings where the customer's needs were being discussed. I was muzzled and set up for failure, or so they thought. Now comes the malicious compliance that ended up with revenge. When asked by the customer instead of X or Y is happening, my responses were pretty much like, I'm not permitted to tell you whether the problem is significantly over budget, and management won't let me tell you whether or not the company is dropping design requirements for features A and B. I explicitly complied with management's directive of not answering the customer's questions, but I slipped in enough hints in my non-answers that the customer knew where to look and what questions to ask. The customer also kept meeting minutes and often recordings, which always reflected that I did not answer questions about the subject under discussion, which was technically the truth. This was very critical later. Eventually, management couldn't hide that the project was way late and way over budget, which didn't surprise the customer thanks to my hints. The customer ripped the company a new one in their periodic contract performance review. Note on government contracts: it's very difficult to get a low performance score. Really difficult. The company got a very low performance score. It was ugly and the company lost a lot of contract bonuses which would have been a big part of profits, and management bonuses. And Fairhaired Boy was under such stress trying to solve the problems that I had warned him about that he had a major heart attack and retired for medical disability at the age of 42. It was a bad heart attack. Naturally, management wanted me to be the scapegoat so they'd get to fire me, but the customer liked how I worked, and they protected me with very careful language in the performance appraisals, basically that the task I was doing was the only task in the company that was performing effectively and everything else stank to high heaven. Upper management didn't dare fire me or they'd angered the customer even more than they already had, possibly to the point of having the contract taken away for non-performance. One particularly nasty manager who really hated me had to give me a significant pay raise and bonus because of my work. The fallout from the review was bad enough that corporate headquarters did some management shuffling and a few of my antagonists were suddenly gone. The raise and promotion ended up not mattering because the customer hired me directly working on the same project but on the government side. This caused management to crap their pants because I knew all their dirty secrets and tricks. But I never ratted on any of the managers or company dirty laundry. I didn't have to. My new co-workers had previously figured out where to focus their attention and what questions to ask to get past the company's bullshit. I complied strictly with the terms of my separation from the company and gave away no secrets after I left the company. One of the best parts was that in meetings, all I had to do was put on an evil grin and the company managers would practically shit themselves, wondering if I was going to unearth one of their skeletons. I never did. I just liked watching them squirm. They got paranoid about being caught trying to lie to the government that they were admitting bad news up front because of bad performance that management admitted. It got even worse for the company. They decided to try letting their legal hounds on me for violating company non-disclosure agreements, but the customers' meeting minutes proved that I hadn't. The contract was restructured to eliminate several blind spots the company had used to their advantage. The customers' oversight of the company rose significantly. Profit margins on the contract shrank. Several of management's favorite employees suddenly had resumes on the street because their protection was disappearing. Even more managers retired or found other jobs. It was glorious to watch. Doubly so because I let them do it to themselves, and I was extremely happy in my new job where I still work. As someone who has been on both sides of the fence, government and contractor, it bugs me the way some contractors just feel the need to abuse their status as a contractor. As the OP said, it really is tough to get on the government's bad side once you've already won the contract. But the depths some contractors will go is insane to me. Government money is the people's money. As a taxpayer and someone who has benefited from taxpayer money, anyone who wastes other people's money is garbage. It's amazing how many people don't seem to realize this. I like the MC technique of not answering the question directly when there is a company policy forbidding the direct answer. Instead, one states the company policy that says why they can't answer the question. I was talking to a big airline agent on the phone and we came to the determination that they would not be able to fly me with my equipment on the same plane. I then asked what other airlines flew the same route so I might try them. The agent answered with, "I am sorry, but our company policy says I can't tell you about other airline." I replied that I understood and thanked her for assisting me. I then called other airline and they accommodated me and my gear. It even cost less than the big airline. Note that she did not tell me about other airline. She just told me the company policy. Sometimes you don't even have to hand them the shovel to dig the hole. Great story. It's even better watching them dig their own hole with their bare hands. When asked by the customer instead of X or Y is happening, my responses were pretty much like, I'm not permitted to tell you whether the problem is significantly over budget, and management won't let me tell you whether or not the company is dropping design requirements for features A and B. This reminds me of Talia's trick in the B5 episode, Born to the Purple. Unable to read anything beyond the surface thoughts of the slaver, she tells him not to think of anything that he does not wish her to know, or the location of a retiree. Perfection. I had been a military public affairs officer, and when something went really badly, we would issue a sparse news release and have a response to query document that had every possible question a reporter might have with answers that went into great depth. Fast forward, and after the military I was a newspaper reporter. A Navy jet from a local base crashed and I was reporting on it. Called a public affairs senior NCO who had seen and done it all, and we connected because of my prior service. I asked my questions, but before I hung up he said, "Captain, you probably know that I have a response to query right here. If somebody was to ask me what are all the questions and answers in your TQ, I'd have to read back the entire document." I took lots of notes over the next half hour. I so want to believe this story has to do with the F-35. There's a vibe that makes me want to say so, but there are thousands of government contracts. I understand why you'd think it was the F-35, but number that would have probably been supernova level revenge potential, one of the other thousands of contracts. I am assuming that this took place in the US. If it was the UK, I would find it hard to believe that anyone on the government side gave half a shit whether the contractor was doing things right, or, more accurately, that no one on that side would be allowed to give a shit, because that would say that the contract was badly specified, badly assigned, or both, by senior government people, quite likely including politicians. Can't have anything like that. Whenever I see someone say politically correct, I like to replace that with respecting other human beings, and I feel like it really illuminates who is being wronged in a given situation. I am not saying OP is at all, but usually people who brag about not being politically correct are racist as duck. Jesus Christ, you caused someone to have a heart attack by simply doing what you were told. Having worked on many contracts at different companies, sometimes for the gov, this sounds much more believable than many stories here. Hopefully they recouped some of the costs and fixed some of the problems without shifting it to the gov in the end. Man, gonna be honest here, glad you got your revenge and all, and it sounds deserved, but you also sound like an absolute miserable person to work with, even if really good at what you do. Almost can't believe I had to scroll this far to find a comment like this. Like, OP genuinely seems like they are very good at their job, but the language of this was so off-putting. Also, I feel like I miss whatever part they said was non-PC. This is without doubt the best MC I've read on my time on Reddit. Ducking outstanding. A narcissist and simp in one. This article was so hard to read through all the "I am too smart so everyone hates me" bull. I am sure this all happened and he doesn't make any mistakes and has psychic abilities to know every single thing that will be wrong. Don't forget, that's not strange. That's just called being an employee who can see what's right in front of them. The amount ego this is written with makes it just annoying to read. You may as well have ascribed a near universal dislike as then being jealous your shit smelled like roses. Oh god, thanks for writing this for me, laughing my butt off. I'd wish to have half the self-love confidence that OP has, to be fair. This guy's definition of politically correct seems to not align with society's use of it. I was expecting a way different story. He was referring to management politics, not politics. I'm not politically correct and am too accurate predicting problems, so they reassign me and give others credit for my work. This just sounds so delusional, like saying people hate me because I am too perfect and honest, when really you spend all your time shitting on people. Well, if they are shitty peoples, how is karma not coming back around? Good job, you followed your instinct and mostly stuck to doing the right thing. I hope you do really well in your new position and work very hard to continue to do the right thing. Think you won't be tested? You will. Pretty much same with where I used to work. I was fired for not getting an ADA signed when I didn't request, and refused signing. I had a lawyer say he'd take my case, but upon paying him thousands in deposits and fees, he tells me there's nothing he can do now, and I should have called when it first happened. There's no winning when you work for a corrupt company. The EEOC did nothing. I am in Colorado and the CCRD did nothing, so now I am thinking about what to do now. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.